Hey guys, so now we're going to be going a little bit further with Unreal Engine. As you can tell by the name of my project down there in the bottom right, we've named that going further with UE4. So having third person selected, double checking where it's going to be saved, so it's being saved with all my other Unreal Engine projects. You might have somewhere else that you like to save yours. So then we're going to create that. And just saying, in this tutorial we're going to be going through probably the first part. So we've done a little bit of stuff around actual programming of things, and now we're going to do that programming, but also a little bit more in terms of actually being a little bit functional in a game in terms of making like a platform that moves. So that's what we're going to do today. So first thing we're going to do is make a box cube over here. Drag that in, position it. So we're going to make a platform that moves across. So let's make it a little bit more platform-like by using the scale tool. There we go. That looks like a platform. We'll even drag it out a little bit here. Alright, cool. So we've got our platform there. And now we need to make a reference to that. So what we might actually do too, instead of having it called cube, we'll double click over here on its name, which is not working at the moment. There we go. Just had to wait a little bit. I was expecting it to be too quick. So we've got platform, keeping that selected, and we're actually going to go back into our level blueprint. So with that selected though, so that we can make a instance of it in our blueprint. So if I make that a bit bigger, we can right click and we can create our platform. So we've got that there. Now with our platform, we're going to want it to move every event tick, so that way we've got some kind of way of knowing how quick it's going to be moving and at what time. So if we right click and we put in an event tick node, we've got the starting of, we've got our instance and we've got our event of when it's going to be moving. So now we're going to use a couple things that I use a lot when I'm making my games, and most people are as well. So we're going to set our actor location over here, and we're also going to get actor location. Get actor location there. Alright, cool. And then attaching that. So we're setting where the actor is, and we're getting where the actor is as well. Okay. Now's when it gets a little bit more confusing, because we need to actually start dictating where this is going to go and things. So the actor being the platform, we need to dictate where that's going to be going. So we need a vector plus vector pin for this. Alright. So like everything in game creation, we're actually using math to dictate where this is moving. So now we're going to be using a make vector, because we're making that vector of where it's actually moving along as a platform. Get our make vector pin down here. Fantastic. And we need to connect. So again, just trying to keep our code nice and neat. Connect that up to there. So we've got our location of where it's going to be moving to. And we'll add 100 to that. Okay, now we could play this, right, and it's not going to work. So I compile, save. We'll make sure we've got, I like it to be popping out a new window. Press play and see how this doesn't actually move yet. Alright, we've written the code for it to move, but it won't move. Press escape and we get all these errors. Okay, big problem that we have with this is that we've got it set at the moment as a static mesh, so this can't be moved. So it's been told, yep, you're staying there and that's where you live. If I add movable, we'll save that and we go play. You see it fly off the screen? So we're telling it at the moment to move a meter a second to the right really quickly. So it's a common problem that game development generally has, and our current code is frame rate dependent. So by adding 100 to the platform position, we're in fact doing that every single frame. So what in fact happened when we were playing the level, the platform did indeed move to the right, but at 100 meters per frame, not per second. Okay. The standard way to deal with this issue is by multiplying our desired speed by delta time. Okay, so we're going to be bringing in our floats again to multiply this, so that way we can actually get it working properly. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way for my next bit of code that I want to put in. Alright, cool, I'm happy with how that looks. A bit further out. Alright, so we need to add our multiplication in, and it's going to be adding to the multiplier to the y value. Let me float. Alright, because it's basic maths here. We're going to attach that to there. See how this is all starting to get crossed over, and I'm not terribly happy with it, so I'm trying to find a good way. Maybe it's moving that over is the issue. I get pretty particular about how my code's all laid out because it does get really messy really quickly. So now we've got this multiplier in. We can multiply that by 100 because you guys saw how fast it moved at the start. So if you have that multiplier at 100, and that's going to make it a lot different, a lot better there. Okay. So now it should be a meter every second instead of every tick, which is every frame. So let's try that. Play. And you see there, that's a lot better speed there. And I wonder if it'll push me. And I'll start freaking out. Cool. So that's working well. Alright. Now what we might do is actually check the distance between the player and the platform. So we can actually decide, alright, maybe we don't want it to go until the player's standing on the platform. Alright, that's a lot more useful than just a platform that moves across randomly. We can also do it so it goes backwards and forwards, but we'll be getting onto that later on. So what we now need to do is make an instance of our character. So if I come in here again, click on my character, and then go back to our code, and we're going to create a reference to our character. We might Control V that, and get an instance of our platform again as well. So we're going to be creating the code that says, alright, if you're on top, like say if the distance between you is 0, we are going to have you move. Okay, so getting the location. Alright, and because we've got these vectors, and this is one way to do this, there's definitely more than one way to do this, okay? I want to make sure that's 100% understood, because this is almost more the longhand way of doing it. So we've got our vectors, and we're minusing these vectors from each other. So as it's getting less and less, we're then going to dictate the vector length. Vector length, cool. Alright, and then what we're going to do is add in, so if that happens, so we're trying to figure out if this happens, so we're going to use old mate the branch node. Alright. Okay, so if this is true, so if something is true, we haven't added our condition yet, but at the moment we're saying, alright, so we're getting these actors locations, and if it's less, it's a lessening vector length, and then we want to add in a float, a less than float. I'm going to make that value 200, okay. So we can leave that there, and we're going to add this into our condition. So that way we know that if it's less than 200 units, it's going to move. Whoa, I didn't mean to click on that. So let's move this. There we go. Over here. Could actually even come down a little bit. Move this over. So we can have two different parts there. What I might also do is... No, I'll leave that for today. Because they are kind of intermingled. I was going to add these in their own boxes, but they're a little bit intermingled with this code. So we might leave it how it is. So you can see there we've got dictating where we are. We've got over here dictating the actual movement of the platform. So let's try this. So if I press play, clicking, alright, you can see there that it's not moving like last time. But if I am able to jump on this, you can see that it moves. Now this is just going to continue moving to the right and just going until, well, I think it'll knock me off on the wall. So what we're going to be doing later on is actually come out with a way to have this moving backwards and forwards. And that way it'll be a little bit better for an actual platformer. Alright, so hopefully a little bit of simple code, but using a little bit more functional things in a game. We're going to be making like a 2D platformer. So you can see we've used a 3D template for this on UE4, but we're going to be swapping over to a 2D one when we actually make our game in our classes generally. So hopefully you've learned a lot, and looking forward to the next video.